Holy lunch. The head librarian had just finished lunch. Actually, it had been a half hour, but the head librarian was reflecting on her last meal so strongly, to the point of a cathexis, or at least an idée fixe, that it was as if the meal was continuing to the present moment. Like the last bite had a fermata floating above it, or emblazoned on it. A big, fat, juicy fermata. The kind of fermata that levitated over the last bite of every piece of fried chicken she had ever purchased at Tops Friendly Market, formerly the finest market, be it at any of several Tops Friendly Markets she had patronized, whether the one a block away from where she was now, at the reference desk of the main library in downtown New Bedford, Massachusetts, or in a neighboring area, or even once when she visited her current boyfriend's, going on 7 months now, parents' home in Salmac, Ohio. The quality of the fried chicken was such that it demanded rumination. Ruminate was the correct word, she thought, with its double entendre of rethinking and rechewing. The room she was in was on the second floor of the library. There were 3 floors. The first 2 had books and computers, and the third floor had paintings, sculptures, and wood carvings. The room she was in had a very high ceiling. It was taller than it was wide. The shelves on the walls had those rolling wooden ladders to get to the books. There were 2 large sculptures in the room, 2 busts. There were 6 clumsy wooden tables for patrons with 4 chairs each. There was only one other person in the room at the moment, a homeless man named Cristiano, who was asleep at one of the tables, the one furthest from the head librarian, whose name was Tina. Cristiano was sleeping in an uncomfortable wooden chair designed to repel sleep. He had a newspaper over his face. Tina was deciding that her next 2 actions would be to go wake Cristiano up and then to go to the 3rd floor to look at the art and walk off lunch a little. But before she could stand up from her stool to do so, Jesus walked in. Jesus Christ looked exactly as he did in the archetypal paintings, films, and on the various crosses in the various churches strewn across the earth. His nose was a little broader and more rounded out, but that was the only difference. The off-white robe with brown sash was there. The sandals were there. His gait was unhurried, as one would expect. He gave Cristiano's sleeping form the kind of loving once-over he would have given a sleeping baby bunny rabbit, or a kitten pawing at a toy. Jesus approached Tina's desk, stopping a respectful 6 feet from the actual counter. Tina noticed that celestial glow she had heard of, that aura one would expect to see around the Lord. "You're glowing," Tina said in a slight trance. She didn't mean to say it. She was in shock. She was looking at Jesus, and she knew it. "It doesn't seem to show until I get 10 feet away. I wouldn't mind if it went away altogether. I'm one of those people who light up a room, as they say. I've met a few people who, when you get 10 feet from them, you can smell their cologne. I don't care for that. Alicia said I'm glowing. If I start glaring, please let me know." Jesus was joking, but as usual, when visiting mortals, his joke dissolved into the corporeal ambiance ineffectively. There were 2 minutes of silence now. Jesus rocked back and forth on his sandaled feet. "Would you like to visit the art gallery?" Tina asked, not knowing how she was able to speak in this moment. "That sounds great," Jesus said. They walked out of the reference room into the wide hallway. They took a wide stone staircase slowly to the 3rd floor. They seemed to be encased in celestial silence, or so Tina would describe it to her family and the various news organizations later. "How did you get here?" Tina asked, again without her knowledge. "I went to Fordham first," Jesus answered. Fordham? In Northampton, the Fordham Library? I went there first. It was very busy. I didn't want to disturb the energy there. Then I came here, and this is perfect. This is what I had in mind, Jesus said. The tribulation popped into Tina's mind. It popped back out just as quickly. She was with Jesus. She became fearless. Even a great terror such as the tribulation dissolved like cotton candy in a child's mouth in the presence of this man. She then thought about how little work she had done today and yesterday, and how she had been sitting wishing it was 30 minutes earlier and she was having her first bite of chicken when Jesus walked in. Does he know those things? Maybe it's God that sees into souls. She had no idea. Anyway, she thought, her sins were small in comparison to the vast mountain ranges of human sin that were throbbing like living trash at that very moment. They reached the 3rd floor in the first gallery. The fried chicken receded into the mildly spicy mists of all the pieces of fried chicken that preceded it. They looked at the paintings. A woman and a child at the beach, a group of workmen also at the beach with a huge cumbersome-looking plow, and 2 tired-looking horses standing right at the waterline. A man standing amidst large ocean rocks in a turbulent sea, an oil painting 4 feet tall of a Catholic priest. Tina wondered what Jesus thought of the priest. She wondered what he thought of the different denominations, Episcopal, Lutheran, Baptist. "What is your favorite book?" Jesus asked Tina. "I like The Sound and the Fury," Tina said. "Really?" Jesus said, in true surprise. "I've tried twice. Can't make it through that one. What else?" "The Bridges of Madison County." "You mean that's a book? I thought that was a movie." "Yes, a book first," Tina said. They encountered a brilliant piece of woodwork, a fish rising up from a jagged maelstrom. Jesus crossed his arms, leaned in to inspect it with his brow furrowed. "How long you suppose that took to do?" Jesus asked, turning to Tina. "A year at least," Tina said. Was this the tribulation? Were all the good people already tapping their toes on the streets of heavenly gold? Would the varied chimera of the book of Revelation soon burst through the skylight? Again, this brief nightmare dissolved as she turned and looked at Jesus. A subtle fragrance wafted from him. Sandalwood, butterscotch, cumin. "I love that piece," Jesus said. "I'm, first of all, interested in talking to someone about Dostoevsky and specifically a book called Demons or The Devils or The Possessed," Jesus explained. "I have a friend at the Fairhaven branch who minored in Russian literature. Should I call him?" Tina asked. "Please do, and I will go to him. He doesn't have to travel to me." They went to the art gallery curator's office. The door was open, but the art curator was out. The room had a small desk and 2 cozy easy chairs in front of it. There was a window behind the desk with a view of a park surrounded by thousands of homes. The window faced west. "What a cozy little room," Jesus couldn't help remarking, looking left and right. "Sit wherever you like," Tina said, remaining standing next to the desk and picking up the phone. Jesus gathered up his robe ends and sat down gently. "Bridget, this is Tina at Maine. Is Mark in?" "Oh. Yes. It is important." She looked at Jesus, who was looking at a wooden shelf with small woodcut pieces of art on it. "Yes, please give me his home number." Tina had his home number, but it was on her cell phone, and for some reason, she couldn't bring herself to look at her cell phone in the presence of God the Son. Seemed vulgar. "Thanks, Bridget." She turned to Christ, saying, "He's off today, but I'm going to call him at home. If it's not too much trouble." "I love this office. Cozy," Jesus reinforced. Tina dialed the number. Mark answered on the second ring. Mark recognized the main library number as the call came in on his cell phone. He was in his work shed. "I don't need any extra shifts," Mark said, grinning broadly. "Ha ha, no, Mark, but I'm glad you answered. I have a visitor here at Maine, and..." She cupped her hand over the phone and said to Jesus, "Is this really happening? Am I to tell him Jesus wishes to see him? If you don't mind, it's true. Please tell him it's me." "Mark, Jesus is here." "Here." sitting in front of me. I'm in Janice's office. Okay, so Jesus is there, Mark said. Yes. Jesus is sitting in Janice's office, Mark said. Yes. Why are you calling me, Tina? He wants to talk to someone who knows Dostoevsky. Tina, what the fuck are you talking about? He doesn't believe you? Jesus asked. Well, to be fair, Tina said, cupping the phone again. Tell him to go see his dog, Jesus said. Is your dog around? Tina said. He's in the house. Why? Tell him, go look at your dog. That's your proof. Say that, Jesus said. Jesus said to go look at your dog, and that should prove it to you. Mark walked the 30 paces from his shed to his back door. He opened it. He said, Hey, Jasper, come here. The large, though thin, Irish wolfhound walked into the small kitchen where Mark stood, with his head hanging dejectedly. The dog's long, usually dark brown hair was bright pink. As soon as this had registered with Mark, it switched back to dark brown. The dog whimpered and went back to the bedroom. Jesus, Mark said. I guess somebody had to say it, Jesus muttered.